Sylvester was a frail, skinny, difficult child with a twisted face and terrible diction. Student practitioner taking delivery. One careless movement of forceps traumatized the baby, and Sylvester Stallone for life remained with a partially paralyzed lower left half of the face. But despite such a serious illness, the guy was able to show everyone his fighting spirit and win a place in the sun of Hollywood. Sylvester Stallone always wanted to prove that he has not only pumped up muscles and athletic physique, but also dramatic acting talent. In the late 80s, two pictures with Sly, the drama of Zapreti, better known to Russian viewers as Tyuria, and the action film Tango and Cash, from critics received diametrically opposed assessments. Biceps, triceps and the trademark muzzling did not go anywhere, but the foreground came to the intelligence and personal charisma of the hero. However, this was not enough for Sly. In the early 90s, Stallone tries himself in comedies, Oscar and Stop, or My Mother Will Shoot. Fascinated by this genre, Stallone gave his consent to Carolco Pictures to participate in a comedy tape about the neighborhood conflict. But the project did not go. In the work of the studio had two more paintings, and Sly switched to them, but even there began difficulties. A film about a mad monster, with a budget of under $100 million, prevented scripting squabbles. Action film in the style of Die Hard, director Renny Harlin planned to shoot in the conditions of the hurricane.
This project was not just long, but very long. The first version of the script was written in 1984, more than $4 million spent only on the script, and the director was paid another $3 million. But hurricane special effects, the budget of the picture could not withstand. As a result, the film company realized that it was incurring heavy losses and canceled the shooting.
Stallone, and already decently paid by millions, Renny Harlin, smoothly moved to the next project, and in 1993 revealed to the world the immortal film classic. According to the plot, the action unfolds in the mountains of North America, in the state of Colorado, but in fact, more than half of the film was shot in Italy, in the snowy Dolomite Alps at an altitude of about 4 kilometers.
So, I get shot on that peak and I slide down.
That's right. First you run to the right, then you jump and roll.
Yeah, it's a steep slope. It's gonna be fun. I remember we had one of those things in Nighthawks. Right at the end when I shoot Rutger. Excuse me, Domino's Pizza is calling.
I'm a workaholic. Nobody knows what those letters mean. No one.
But that's the way it is. He's a hard worker. He's on the supply team.
Yes.
Always there.
Stallone played a mountain climber for the first time. Sly was afraid of heights, but decided that he had an opportunity to overcome his fear. And fear was what? The conflict rescuer Walker with the bandits unfolded in the hard-to-access Rocky Mountains, and therefore in the shooting involved a team of 36 of the best climbers as consultants and stunt doublers for difficult and dangerous scenes. Stallone also did a good job and performed most of the stunts himself. As you can see, that's Sly hanging from a rock, trying to climb to the top at 700 meters, of course, without the safety rope, erased from the footage in post-production. Here we couldn't do without it. But would any of you agree to do it again? Sylvester Stallone managed to convey the psychological drama of his character. In the dramatic maelstrom of events, Gabriel gets morally broken. 6 months ago died Sarah, a friend's girlfriend, literally slipped out of his hands. On the set, Sly, playing this tragic moment, so entered into the image of the rescuer, holding not a hand, and literally the life of the girl that no slipping out did not work. He held his partner even when the glove was smeared with Vaseline. The fall stunt was performed by Georgia Phipps, an experienced climber. It was her debut film work as a stunt double. Phipps flew down almost 160 meters, then the rope tightened and she hung over 100 meters above the ground.
It was amazing there. Incredible location. The director did a fantastic job selecting the best altitude, angles and perspectives for the shoot. Every day spent in the mountains is a truly dizzying and frightening experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I hope so.
When you were hanging from the cable and trying to save the girl, was that the scariest scene for you?
Yeah, almost. I'd say so. Firstly, you're hanging at an angle, upside down, and you're also climbing on a rope. And when you stop in the middle, you can't see, but you can feel yourself swaying from side to side. Sometimes you'd hang like that for half an hour. You get very tired and you think, I don't want the cable to break now. And then it's all over. The helicopter fight at the end was also very dangerous. Extremely dangerous.
Slice, a good-looking guy, didn't mess up. He gave the main villain Eric Quaylen a good beating. We can only guess what at that moment felt actor John Lithgow, because after filming, Stallone went to the hospital with a torn tendon and lacerations on his arm. He received 9 stitches, and Lithgow got off with a slight fright. The amazing plane-to-plane transfer at 4.5 kilometers altitude is still the most expensive stunt in cinematic history. The stunt was so reckless that it was banned from being filmed in Europe, and the stuntman's life was refused to be insured. To save the day, Stallone paid Simon Crane $1 million out of his own pocket for the dangerous aerial stunt, which eventually made it into the Guinness Book of World Records as the most expensive stunt at high altitude. Simon risked his life, flew down a long cable without insurance, and hit the door of an aeroplane several times.
Look, don't you ever feel like quitting or saying, somebody get me out of here?
Yeah. There's a scene in the film where I had to climb up. I take off my jacket and start climbing up the glacier, over the icy rock and icicles. We're stuck there for a long time. And we just couldn't move on. The weather got bad, the winches got jammed and the rope got tangled. And I'm in my harness, and it's squeezing my arteries, so the blood's not getting to my legs and they're freezing. And where my legs were this morning, there's 2 of these, I don't know, 2 logs or something. My feet wouldn't move and they were numb and frozen to death. And then there's this unbearable pain. But I'm not giving up, I'm calm. The mountaineers say that if you're caught in a storm, stuck high up in the mountains for days and hanging in one place for a long time, then all you can do is meditate, pray, and not look down.
What do you think of those who just have fun that way?
They're just crazy. I think they should be stripped of their driving license immediately. They're a little crazy. But there are reasons for that. Everyone I've talked to says that the mountains allow you to feel like a creator for a few hours or days, to feel the power over your destiny. After all, no one forbids you to do almost anything you want. It is a real 100% feeling of freedom. And if you think about it, it really is. That's why they go to the mountains.
The war between climbers and mercenaries among the stunning mountain beauties, around which the plot of the film is twisted, is shot incredibly masterfully. Even in our time of almighty numbers, the climber causes an explosion of emotions and is watched in one breath. Director Renny Harlin did everything possible, and sometimes even impossible, achieving the maximum effect of presence and reality of what is happening. Just look at the huge remote-controlled film crane, fixed in the rocks. And allowing the operator to control the height, angle and foreshortening of the film with a joystick, Renny Harlin has come up with a spectacular, but extremely complex production you just can't do without a combination of shots. For the scene where Gabe climbs up the glacier, they built a fiberglass model of a steep cliff with a glacier. With the help of reprojection they combined Gabe with additional painted rocks and miniatures in the foreground, and thus got impressive in-depth and scale shots. But, unfortunately, you won't see big beautiful icicles in the film. Renny Harlin reduced the fragment 6 times, and only 10 seconds of 1 minute remained. As Harlin admits, what he didn't want to do was to turn Gabe into a superhero in a soaked t-shirt who can't handle cold and ice, so he cut all this ugliness at once. Scenes in the gorge, where Gabe climbs up, and then saving himself and his girlfriend falls down, as well as the episode when Jesse and Gabe on a rope climb to the western slope, also filmed on a huge mock-up in combination with reprojection. A 1:6 scale model of a helicopter filled with explosives was dropped from a height of 15 meters against the backdrop of a giant model of a cliff, and filmed with 2 cameras at a speed of almost 150 frames per second. But as always, something went wrong. First the chopper flew off early, then the detonator didn't work. The film was shot for a week, several helicopters were destroyed, but the stunning epic finale was worth it. At the Boss Film Studio, the safety ropes were removed from the footage and digital compositing of set drawings with real cliffs was done. The processing was done on Silicon Graphics workstations connected to an IBM Power Visualization System supercomputer. For what? The specialist in digital modeling Joe Alter rewrote for the new hardware his old algorithms of digital tracking he'd used in the early 90s on Star Trek, The Next Generation, then on an IBM 286 and TrueVision Targa 32 graphics cards. A tremendous amount of work was done, and the action scenes were given new colors.
I feel like French toast. Oh well. In Nighthawk, when we shot the scene where I shoot Rutger Hauer, they put a capsule on the wrong side of him to simulate a magnum wound, and the charge exploded right into him with such force that the poor guy flew off and hit the wall. Anyway, it tore his skin up pretty bad, scarred him for life. Oh my god, I've never played with one of these things. So, anyway, I turn around, then I get shot, I press the button, jump, roll, hide, and then the bag bleeds. It's the same old pattern. You'll see I'm moving my fingers like a bad piano player.
Dude, you should just run.
That's for sure. And the sooner the better, they think that's what they teach at theater school.
Are the cameras ready? Action. Go! Rex, go! Look round, fire! Fire again. All right. Run, run, run. Reload.
Gabe Walker turned out at Sly very lively and convincing, doubly justifying his coolness. Victory over greedy bandits and over himself, Cliffhanger is considered the best film directed by Renny Harlin, and for Stallone, the role of Gabe launched a new round of popularity, and is rightfully included in his acting top 10, with a budget of $70 million. The film's box office receipts exceeded $250 million. Sly's fee was $15 million. True, he gave $1 million to a stuntman, and for $100,000 reshot the episode with the revival, Carelessly Killed Rabbit. Sylvester Stallone is rightly considered a superstar of action films. He is a living legend of world cinema. At the same time, Sly Narazu did not star, and in 2016 OM refused the offer of US President Donald Trump to head the National Endowment for the Arts and Humanities. Stallone preferred the non-dusty work of an official, help and financial support for veterans. Today Stallone is a famous film director, screenwriter and producer. In addition, a successful restaurateur, artist, publisher and editor, he is also the founder of a men's clothing line called SLY.
Unfortunately, the pizza still hasn't arrived, so, Domino's guys, you're screwed. I now expect free pizza from you guys every week for the next 100 years. Fair enough.
It's been 30 years since Cliffhanger was released, but it still looks great, despite the large number of really good blockbuster action films of today. But they don't make films like that anymore. That's why action films of the 80s and 90s and Cliffhanger, in particular, are so near and dear. Like Sylvester Stallone.